weren't reaching far enough. We didn't want the formal program to, as I said, rip things out of the businesses themselves. A majority of what we've achieved so far has been on the revenue side. Part of that is because we put the emphasis there. Part of that is because we needed that in terms of where our corporate financials were headed. But lastly, many of the expense management ideas and initiatives were already underway inside the businesses, and so we chose to not bring those up. In fact, those actually became the funding vehicle for some of the innovative ideas that came out of this program itself. The last thing we did as we were kind of getting into the fourth quarter of 2009 is we wanted to make sure that this was iterative. This was our first time doing this in a big scale across multiple businesses, and we knew that what was going to come out the back end of 2009 would probably look very different than what we set out to do at the beginning of 2009. And trust me, for a large company with a lot of history and in industries that are very highly regulated, it is very hard to come into a process like this and to allow yourself to come out the back end with something different than what you expected going in. So we wanted to keep the iterations alive. We wanted to keep our senior management involved, look more at what we call strategic innovation projects themselves. But as these projects kept bubbling up, we needed to bring together technology, because we're a very heavily technology-dependent company. Everything that we do is essentially done these days on platforms, many of them proprietary, many of them built within our own company, so we needed to bring our technology folks in. We need to make sure that it wasn't just a great idea, but that we could actually do it when it came time to actually deliver. So the idea of service delivery in operations became very, very important for us. We wanted operations to be at the table while we were going through this process, and it wasn't just something that was thrust on us in operations at the end of the process itself. iZone and inspiration is really a lot around communication. I'll show you some of the tools that we use for this, but I can't emphasize enough when you're getting a program like this going early on, awareness and branding and just getting the word out becomes a very, very big piece of what you do in the early years. And I think it feels to me like we're starting to make that turn. You know, when I see things like innovation being part of what we talk about when we go to new employee induction, when we do quarterly recognition and quarterly town halls, and we give awards out and everything, it tells me that we're actually making this more and more of a fabric. But part of that is we have to have a presence, we have to keep the profile up. So we've done a lot of investment in terms of not only our own intranet, but also other programming. And it takes around ideas once they've been approved. But very much we're trying to keep it local to businesses, but keep our senior managers involved in the process as well. For us so far, what's come of this? A lot of ideas. We started what we call a catch and release system. The idea generation part can really take off on you quickly. Sudhesh will talk about this in Pune as well. We've seen the same thing here. And one of the things you have to be careful about when you start soliciting ideas is you have to get into the practice then of acknowledging the ideas. Whether it's a good idea that you choose to act upon or it's an idea that you choose to defer, if you don't go back to people and let them know what you've done with their idea, they stop thinking of the next idea. Okay? So we very much, for everything, 1,300 ideas flowing through this program, we had to get a system in place to acknowledge, to prioritize, and then to let people know what we were doing. We also had to put recognition systems in place. This became very, very important for us as well. Whether it be individual recognition, and we were giving out awards that were as small as $1,000 per person, but then we also had the opportunity in the context of what did we set as our target for 2010, we thought we were ambitious when we set a target of $40 million. And we nearly doubled it in the ideas that we saw that came from all of our folks in the FMTS business. This starts to get very technical, and one of them is actually an example that I want to expand on for you, but both short and long-term ideas, the group level ideas that are now in incubator state. I'm going to take you through this environmental innovation solutions. It's become a whole new business for us in the financial markets and treasury space. which I want to talk to you a little bit about. You can see other areas where we've had new ideas come up as a result of this program as well. Second point here around collaboration tools. Technology is absolutely an enabler for us. We have shared systems internally for communication, dialogue, to create and access